Good evening and welcome everyone to the Cleanup Step sponsored by Comic Collector Shop. It is I, your glorious and beautiful host, Mike, with me today.
You got one of those right.
Was it glorious or beautiful?
I'll let you guess.
Your opinion matters to me, Justin. And not only do we have Justin, we also have sniggering in the background, Kyle.
Yeah, that's me, back from the dead.
Yes, he has returned to us like certain sacrilegious jokes I actually won't be making. But
we had to waste
totally
mana
could.
reanimating him.
Yes. Actually, neither of us play black, do we? I guess you're staying dead. Anyways,
okay.
Speaking of reanimating the dead and sacrilegious jokes, what is your favorite god?
Mine is Farika, the god of affliction, or should I say goddess? It's a big snake. And I like her because she's green-black, she's graveyard hate, and she has nice art.
Well, there you go. Those are all the best reasons to like a god.
I would disagree with those being the best reasons to like a god. I think that gods should make you fear them being present on the board at all, which is why I like Perforos. Because Perforos sits there and says, oh, look, you made a creature. Everybody gets to take 2, except for you. And he does it over and over and over again. Do you know how easy it is to make lots of creatures?
Especially in red?
Yeah, or, red-white would be a decent combination. I mean, it doesn't have to be your commander. He can just be in your deck. Maybe
I have a great story about curbing Perforos, actually. Yeah. I'll probably tell one day.
Perforos, his art is just okay, but Farika is a pretty snake lady, so...
I don't know. Perforos is pretty cool coming out of that mountain. Farika's not bad.
I would say, in terms of best art, I would go, give it to probably Keranos. Keranos is pretty cool, too.
Yeah, I do love me some Keranos, which actually is probably my favorite god. As much as I love Steven, the demigod of revenge, he is, sadly, just a demigod, and therefore does not count. And I will pick Keranos, who I saw his art for and went, yes. And then I saw his ability and went, I'll use him somewhere.
No, his ability is great. It's card advantage, man.
No, it totally is. He's good. It's just, none of the decks I was working with, he really worked in, and I only had one. And it was the weekend I decided, the weekend it came out, I was like, maybe I'll buy 2 or 3 more while they're $5 or $6. And then I go to log on to TCG Player the next morning, and they're $15.
Nice.
Crap. So,
man, all 3 of us chose Theros era gods. None of us chose the Amonkhet gods.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I was thinking about going with a Locust god. And let me tell you, if I get to pick a holy trinity, it's going to be Perforos, Keranos, Locust god.
In the name of the Father, the Forge, and the Holy Bug.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, because, you get to draw cards, you get to make creatures off drawing those cards, you get to bolt people, you get to bolt things, you get to hurt people every time you make a bug, then swing with the bug. There's a lot good going on there.
Do you just wish they had, Triumvirate as a keyword? They all 3 can be your commander together?
Oh, God.
No.
The world doesn't need that.
I don't know. I think it could be fun. It would be a really fun combo to pull off regardless. And I guess you could set it up pretty easily, so it's not that big of a deal.
You want to need to work for it a little.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody ever enjoyed anything that was just handed to them.
Yeah, no. I think I actually have everything but Keranos already in my Nen deck. So... and speaking of drawing cards, making little bugs and burning you with them, Nen's real good at that.
Oh, yeah.
She is an artist of pain, so...
Yes. That's the one... No.
It's Nen the friend artist.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm thinking of Vile Smasher.
No, Nen's the blue-red one that you can pay. It's blue-red X, tap it, and deal X damage to target creature. Its controller draws X cards.
Yeah, that's right.
She's really fun.
So you get to make friends by promising to blow up threats, but also give them way more cards than those threats are worth. And then you don't do that, and you just blow up your own Nen for 8 and win the game.
Duly noted. If I see Nen, blow up Nen first. Got it. So, yeah. It sounds like we've all got good choices in favorite gods. And you know what else is very, very godly? the GP in certain social circles. Or not GP. What's the
Pro
Tour? That one. It's like the god of all tournaments.
Now
I'm gonna give that segue a 1 out of 10 godliness.
All right, Kyle is the god of rating segues, as it turns out. Can we? I'm gonna have Adam make you a card and put it up on the chat on the page right now, so people watching the video will be able to see Kyle, god of rating segues.
All right.
I'm going to be like a 4-drop.
I want him on a
Blu-ray.
Segway too.
Yes. Well, how are we going to get a picture of Kyle on a Segway? Kyle, do you have a Segway?
Photoshop.
I do not have a Segway.
Okay. Well, that's good because we.
And if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
We seem to have lost this Segway, so let's go ahead and get back on topic.
The Pro Tour. All right. So the Pro Tour.
It's the first modern Pro Tour we've had in a while.
Yeah, it's 2 years, right? Like 15, 16,
yeah,
something like that?
Yeah.
I wasn't around for the last Modern Pro Tour, but I cannot imagine it was this cool.
It was great. Like, it was actually really fun to watch.
Yeah, like, why have I not been playing Modern right now? What do you want to do? Okay, just do it. Here's the way to do it.
Like, I'm pretty sure this has been echoed numerous times in the past year by countless other players. But man, Modern's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, I think, and it's been there for long enough that it's not just a failure for the metagame to emerge either, right? Because you get that with sets with like short rotations. We kind of saw that with right before the Ixalan rotation, and we saw a very good standard that I'm not completely convinced wasn't a result of just not having time to flesh out the format and figure out that, oh, wait a second, energy is disgusting.
We only had like a few months during that standard format. That was really fun.
But it was really fun. And then the Modern is just like that, but just doubled, tripled.
I mean, it says insane. A lot when your top 8 has like a wide variety of decks throughout the top 8.
There wasn't really a copy. The closest thing to a copy was Blue Red and Mardu Pyromancer. And they play so differently.
Yeah, we even got some like new decks too, like
the hollow one.
Yeah, the hollow one's been sort of floating around in like the tier 2, but it finally came into its own during this Pro Tour. It ended up doing pretty well. There was an interesting Pyromancer deck. We haven't seen Pyromancer in a while.
Which one, the Mardu or the Blue Red?
Well, both of them. I don't like. That's not really a deck you see that often anymore.
I actually saw a fair bit of, I think, the beginnings of the Mardu one online testing a little while ago. I think it's one of those things where people started testing it and they were like, wait a second, I've got something here. I should stop testing this so much online.
I mean, that's sort of how Hollow One was with Goblin Lore and like Burning Inquiry. A lot of people were testing it out, deciding on what color combinations they wanted to use. I know Saffron Olive tried it, ended up doing pretty well with it. And man, it just really came into its own during this Pro Tour. It's like, I mean, couple 4/4s on turn 1 is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm just sad my deck didn't get represented at all. Although I'm not really that sad because my deck isn't I don't love it inherently. It was just it was in a good place around GP Vegas, which is when I started to build it.
I mean, also no copies of Storm in the top 8 too. Like,
thank goodness.
Is there not?
Yeah.
Oh. Because I remember that was definitely one of the decks that, back when I was playing Modern more often, you definitely wanted to have answers for. That, Affinity, and Pod was pretty big. I stopped playing about the time Pod got banned, though, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, Affinity's always going to be a contender unless something drastic changes. Then, what's the first one you were talking about?
So first thing I hit was Storm, then
Pod.
Affinity, then Pod.
Yeah. I mean, so Storm is good right now. Well, it's not good. Storm is in an okay place right now. I mean, obviously, like, everything is. But right now... I think there's a lot of favor going to kind of like the aggro decks. Things that can get under. A lot of like the blue control decks and things like that. But you get better mid-range approach right now. Like the real aggro decks like like burn and stuff like that. I think you're taking a backseat to the more mid-range value decks. And those are doing a decent job of taking advantage of some of the more control decks. Like Jeskai has recently seen a lot of power, but being able to just roll over them with things like the value spells. It's a 2-drop Pyromancer into, Lingering Souls or things like that. Really just kind of take over the game from them, disallowing anything from happening. But then you get first place, going to everybody's favorite deck to play against.
Lantern Control.
Yeah, it's funny because you hear not anybody, but you hear a lot of people talk about the Pro Tour, and I feel like what you get is like, oh yeah, I'm so excited about the place Modern is right now, except for the part where that deck won.
I honestly don't mind. I like Lantern Control.
What is Lantern Control?
Okay.
Go ahead. So it's a very slow, grindy control mill deck, where it uses the card Lantern of Insight that has both players' top cards of their libraries revealed, and a bunch of mill cards, like Pyxis of Pandemonium, Codex Shredder, to mill your opponent's top deck until they hit something.
Pyxis of Pandemonium is seeing play?
Yeah. So it's Codex Shredder.
Because if you can take one card off the top of somebody's deck, until that card is, say, a land, like you're hey, you don't like flooding out on mana? Cool, here. So, and then if you have an answer for something, you just let them play it and you answer
So you feed them bad cards, and then they draw that bad card for their turn, and then next turn you just keep feeding them more bad cards until, and you just lock them out of the game with Ensnaring Bridge, keep them from attacking, and just basically just, in a way, sort of like how Mind Sculptor has the Fate Seal ability, control their top deck for the rest of the game. So that's the deck. It is a very slow, control-y mill deck.
Yep, that's,
And the goal of the deck is also to take game 1 and then go to time on game 2.
Oh.
Because it's a very, very slow deck,
That's not nice.
But yeah, that ended up taking the event. I think we've seen a lot of changes to Modern in the last about year or so. Like Ixalan, right after Ixalan, we got the 5-color Humans deck. That one's relatively new.
Which is a really fun deck.
Yeah, and it looks like it's here to stay. It ended up doing pretty well at the Pro Tour as well.
It's the only one, if you don't count the Pyromancers as the same, and I wouldn't, it's the only one that was represented twice, even close to represent. And it was represented in 5th and 8th place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, so we can agree that Modern's in a really good spot right now. We don't really need to change too much, too many bannings. The real question that is on a lot of people's radars, and I want to ask your opinion too. Should we unban anything?
Like what is up for?
Like a lot of people have talked about Stoneforge Mystic. A lot of people have talked about Bloodbraid Elf. I think honestly, Jace is still off the table. Jace is very powerful still.
Yeah. No, Jace is too good. Stoneforge is just such a powerful package. And when a card performs as well as Stoneforge does in Legacy, where there are even more chances to remove things, I would be hesitant to say, let's take less early removal, and or less early value cards, and then put this card back in. It's so easy to run away with a Stoneforge and a Batterskull. And
I mean, it is usually the game ender in control decks.
Yeah. I don't think Stoneforge, because when you talk about unbanning something, it's one thing to unban it because it might not be a game-breaking thing. But also, look at the risk versus the reward, right? Like, we could risk Stoneforge just making this awesome meta not as awesome. There's a lot of risk associated with there, and it's really not that interesting of a card. Being like it doesn't add a lot to the value of the play, right? It's not like an epic thing, and it doesn't completely revitalize a deck that's been a little bit on the ropes lately. I think one of the things that and I don't know a lot about the actual ban thing, but I know that people have been talking about Golgari Grave Troll. Now, is that still banned, or was it recently unbanned?
I think
it was unbanned and rebanned.
Unbanned and rebanned.
Because during that time, Dredge was taking off.
It was unbanned when Pod was banned in the first place, and then when we were getting ready to launch Modern again towards the end of this year, I was like, oh, Golgari Grave Troll, and I think it was Nick was like, no, that's banned again. Wait, really? Yeah.
Well,
so
it made Dredge the most played deck in the format.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, that's a great example for not the reason I thought it might be, which is that they unbanned this card that seemed somewhat innocuous, and suddenly it mutated the meta. And
well, what do you think about Bloodbraid Elf then?
Is Hypergenesis still a deck?
No, I don't really hear of it that much, and even Jund has seemed to fallen out of favor quite a bit too.
That was one of the big ones when I was in. I wouldn't know because I never made it to the top 8 of any of the tournaments I was in. But if I had, there probably would have been Jund about 2 or 3 times in there.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's not a deck because it's banned. Hypergenesis, the card is banned.
I mean, would banning Bloodbraid Elf make Jund C play again, or would it break Jund? Or
you mean unbanning?
Unbanning, yeah.
I mean, it's a strong card. I don't know enough about the time that it was the time around when it was banned. So what was it being broken in a specific way, or was it just a really high value card? Correct me if I'm wrong.
From what I've heard, it was a preemptive ban, along with a handful of other cards that they banned because it had potential to be good in Modern.
That seems like a ridiculous thing.
Because there were some other cards in that handful that also were banned around the same time. I think Mind Sculptor was part of that.
Well, that one's just
and so was Stoneforge.
That's so much more.
Yeah, Mind Sculptor, I do agree that it still shouldn't be unbanned. It's just that powerful of a card.
It looks like the theory is that it was the most played Gen card in Modern, and that the format was getting stagnant, and the format was getting stagnant. That's what Modern had become, and everyone was either running Jund or building to beat Jund.
Okay.
It just reminds me of the Loading Ready Run skit of before Deathrite Shaman was banned in Modern. They had a skit where it was Lewis and Graham, and Graham's like, I think I'm gonna put Deathrite Shaman in my deck to help me deal with Tarmogoyf, and Lewis comes in and is like, all right, well, if you're going to be running Deathrite Shaman, you should definitely be running this other green card. If you're running this other green card, you should be running Tarmogoyf. If you're running Tarmogoyf, why are you running Deathrite Shaman? That's a nombo, man.
Deathrite Shaman should also stay banned.
Yeah.
That card's broken.
I still think Deathrite Shaman needs
One-drop
to go in
Planeswalkers are just insane.
I have a real question, though. Another question, actually. I heard somewhere that... so Fast Man has always been on the chopping block for Wizards, which means there was a lot of talk about Mox Opal being on the chopping block. What do you think about unbanning maybe one of the lesser power artifact lands, like Tree of Tales, and banning Mox Opal?
I just don't see the high value, especially because there's so many ways to play around Affinity now, right? Affinity it will always be represented, and it did have some great showings at Vegas, but since then things have evolved. By Force was printed. Affinity is just not really that strong right now. And what other deck plays Mox Opal? I guess Lantern doesn't it, or does it?
Yeah, Lantern I think plays Opal.
Yeah, but once again, maybe we'll see more representation of Lantern, and it will actually become the oppressive boss, end boss deck. But right now, it did well and it performed well, and I played against it a few times, and yes, I kind of wanted to die a little, but ultimately I didn't have terrible matchups against it in the testing I had done. So there are ways to play around it as well. And a lot of the stuff that you board for Affinity might manage to get you to take that game too before they shut everything down.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess we need some more time. Like, one Pro Tour doesn't say everything that is said about the format.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's a quick snapshot at best.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're fine with, like, with not banning or unbanning anything right now in Modern.
I don't think anything should change yet. Like, there's no solid indicators, and even the playing I've done online, like, I haven't played since the Pro Tour. The kind of worst case scenario that would actually say, like, maybe something needs to get banned is if the knee-jerk reaction to the Pro Tour is everybody decides to play Lantern, and it turns out that that's actually really, really, really strong and you can't beat it, and it just wasn't on people's radar. But I don't think that's the case at all. And I think from the coverage I saw and from what I've heard about Modern, I just don't think that anybody is close enough to cracking that puzzle yet, if it's there to be cracked, short of getting new cards and new toys.
Okay. So, moving on to the next topic, we have some new sets coming out. We have Masters 25 coming out in about a month, and we also have another, our last duel deck, I believe. Elves versus Inventors, right?
I'll give that one a 3 out of 10.
Okay, that was... Yep, I will give you that.
Straight and to the point.
All right. I am Mike, the god of agreeing with people. All right. Anyways.
So, Masters 25, we do have a few spoilers, let's say, and a leak. And, because they did show...
This is the card art, right?
Yeah, so for Masters 25, they revealed the booster pack art. And 2 are pretty obvious. We have the Judge promo, Azusa Lost But Seeking art, which is a great 3-mana creature. It's a 1/2, lets you drop 2 additional lands every turn. And everyone's favorite, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
King Jace,
who doesn't really need an introduction. He's probably one of the strongest planeswalkers ever printed, 4 abilities. The first walker with 4 abilities. And the last one looks to be a new art on a card.
It definitely looks like an artifact creature. I've heard rumors that it was Steel Overseer and Karn or a new Brosh. We haven't gotten too much information about what Masters 25 is going to have in it. Before we recorded this, I read the official press release, and then I also looked at a lot of the information that's been given out to retailers, and they're basically just saying, hey, there's going to be at least one thing from every set of every major release of the 25 years of Magic, which tells you nothing. Yeah. Like, is it another iconic Masters? Is it an Eternal Masters?
I think it's a Money Masters.
Yeah, I mean,
Masters 25. I think all the mythics are going to be cards that are currently $25 and more. Look at the ones they picked. Azusa. Yeah. She's printed as a rare. She's obviously going to be a mythic for this one.
Nope, rare.
Wait, really?
Yeah, she's a rare.
The official artwork they have has her with the gold logo.
Ah, so it does.
Yeah.
All right. So
I mean, if we're going for expensive, I can see it being something like Blightsteel Colossus.
Yeah,
because my original guess was Platinum Materion, but that thing's not expensive.
I think either Karn. I don't think it looks Blightsteely.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm going
hoping
with Karn
that
because it's sitting at the same place that Jace is, and Azusa is only a little bit below that. Like, Azusa is a very expensive card. It was printed at a time when it was harder to get. Where it's harder to get those cards now, and Jace is the same. Like, even with from the vault printing, he's still like a $60 to $80 card, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we're going to see a lot of expensive rares, but I think overall the set is going to be not super crazy, because even with the price drop you can expect from a reprint of the cards, they wouldn't do that to retailers. Every previous set, when they've released something, they've always spoiled the nice cards and put most of the nice cards on the packs. But if this becomes worth massively more, like if the total value of the rares in the 24-pack box is way more than what retail would suggest on average, then all of those retailers online who are selling them for like super cheap prices are going to be really hurt. And those are some big retailers. Like, we're not just talking the little guy on eBay who ordered 40 boxes. We're talking Channel Fireball. We're talking Star City Games, Troll and Toad, because they all kind of speculate before you get a lot of spoilers out at fairly low prices. And there's lots of business reasons for that, but it's beside the point. And when the set comes out, then they adjust the pre-order price accordingly, depending on how valuable it's going to be. So if they're getting more of the spoilers for it, and it continues with this trend, and we see like $25 and up cards as the majority, there's going to be a lot of...
is a strong word. I made the joke about it being Masters 25 and up, right? But
yeah,
I am going to predict that there is a higher median cost in this set than there has been previously.
True.
I not by like a ton, but by a meaningful amount. And I think that we'll see staples that didn't fit into a lot of the other buckets, like with iconic or with eternal vintage, like but specifically with the from the vault stuff, like realms, lore, blah blah blah. Like there's things that are missing from those buckets. Like there wasn't a great place to stick Azusa because she came from a time that was kind of like weird in the lore of Magic. Like Kamigawa Block is a little...
It's strange in design and in lore wise.
Then Jace, he has been printed, but like he's Jace, man. Like there are a few cards that can't really get through. I'd like to see Stoneforge's potential.
Stoneforge. I'd like to see Force of Will in the set again.
I don't think Force of Will be in the set.
I'd like to see it, but yeah.
I think
it was printed too recently.
I think there's a good chance we're gonna see.
Jace was printed the same. Wasn't Jace printed the same set as Force of Will?
No, Force of Will.
No,
Eternal Masters.
Yeah, Eternal Masters.
Jace was in EMA as well.
Yeah, he was. I thought.
Yeah, he was.
Oh yeah. I didn't realize that he was in EMA. I was thinking of From the Vault.
For the mystery card on the art though, I don't really see it being Karn. Mainly because, the quality of the image is pretty low res, but there's spikes and stuff coming out of him. Karn has never really been indicative of that kind of art style. He's always been sort of like a more like toy soldier, very like roundish, very bulky kind of guy.
There's only been one Karn art, right?
There's two.
Well, there's technically like
there's Karn Silver Golem, and then there's the actual Karn.
And then the different Praetors taking over him.
Yeah. I can see this card probably being I don't see it being, maybe if it's not a mythic, because Azusa's not a mythic and she's still on the card art, maybe Platinum Empyreon, maybe... I can see it being one of the Phyrexian golems.
I'm thinking it's Steel Overseer, honestly.
Steel Overseer is a good one.
Yeah, it was
printed...
I
heard talks about Arcbound Ravager, but I don't think this even looks like Arcbound Ravager.
No.
I'm giving that one a 0% chance.
Yeah, I heard that one too, and I thought it for a little bit, but it just doesn't look like a Ravager.
And the last card that was spoiled was actually Phyrexian Obliterator. Now, the image is a little blurry, but it does look like they did shift it to a mythic rarity. I don't know what rarity it was.
It was initially a rare.
Rare?
Okay. It was from... Phyrexian Obliterator was from a while ago.
It's from New Phyrexia, right?
Was it? I thought it was from... Okay.
I mean, it might have been from Scars.
I thought it was Scars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think it was a rare in Scars.
It's a card that came from that era of Magic that is not particularly played. But is a $40 card.
Yeah.
And that just further feeds into, I think that we're gonna see cards that are expensive because they haven't been reprinted.
Yeah. And I had no clue it was this expensive. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And it didn't actually get bumped up. It wasn't mythic.
I don't really even see, it doesn't even see play in Modern or anything. I don't see it anywhere.
So I believe there is some amalgamation of and I might be wrong about this, but I seem to remember hearing about like a mono black reanimator deck with like Lake of the Dead and Legacy. That may have run it. But yeah, like it's a card that is only expensive because of its scarcity. And I think that's for the most part what we're going to see cards that are more expensive than their scarcity should permit. Mostly, like Azusa should not be a $40+ card. Like, it's a strong card, but like, Oracle of Moldiah lets you play an extra land, not two, but an extra land, and look at the top card of your library. Like, there are other almost effects that are on cards that are.
Do you think this will trickle
expensive.
down to the commons and uncommons too? Like maybe we'll see like the spirit, the shaman spirits or whatever.
I'd like Delvers.
Delver would be cool.
Guide?
Yeah, like the spirit guides, maybe Delver, maybe some of those cards in the common uncommon slot.
Pilla.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be...
Oubliette would be a cool reprint.
Yeah. Although they have to keep it consistent, right? Because they're doing at least one from every set. Yeah. And obviously those can't all be rares and mythics.
Yeah. I mean, there's 200... There's over 200 cards in the set, right. So they are going to have some doubles. Like
So my thinking is, like, their problem is going to be making the commons and uncommons feel consistent. Mm-hmm. Especially, I'm not looking forward to drafting this particularly because it's... ironically, the money joke cuts the other way too, where it's like, I don't think this is going to be terribly fun because there's a good chance it's just going to be all over the board.
Well, have you seen a cube? Right? Like, there are themes that, because a cube still follows themes, right? And like, if you look at like the Legacy cube or the Vintage cube, I guess this would almost be more comparable to that. Without the Moxa set. So yeah, maybe more like a Legacy cube on like MTGO. You see cards from such a wide swath of Magic through there, and yet you still kind of have these sub themes that you can look for in there. And there are certain things like if they're really doing something from every major release, that means we're gonna see Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, and there's only a couple things we can see.
Lightning Bolt. I'm calling it.
Lightning Bolt.
Birds of Paradise.
Birds. Yeah.
And Birds. Well, I'm calling. Birds is the thing that it hasn't been spoiled yet that I am most sure of to be in this set.
Like, it's gotten so many reprints and it's still, like, hovering around the $10 mark.
Lightning Bolt is still $2, is a common to uncommon. Mm-hmm. It's at least $2.
I can see Lightning Bolt getting a reprint.
And it has, 15 printings.
Yeah.
How about, do you think
agree.
Shocklands might see a reprint?
No.
No?
But I think we're going to get another run of fetches. Is why.
It's been so recently. When was the last printing on the friendly fetches?
Cons?
So Cons had friendly fetches, and then Modern Masters 17 had enemy fetches.
Yeah.
The Cons fetches aren't even that expensive anymore.
Well, that's because it was like a primary set. It wasn't a mastery set.
They're still around like the $20 range each.
So you have this weird thing like where because if you print one fetch, you kind of sort of need to print them all.
Yeah,
right?
You can't.
They're
you
not
have
to
print
do
the
just
cycle.
one.
Yeah.
Right, and that cycle is very expensive. So if they print the fetches, I can't imagine it would be the friendlies. Like those are low enough.
I have an idea though. Instead of those, how about we get the old Manlands? Celestial Colonnade, that cycle.
But that'd be nice. Colonnade recently. Like, I want one, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
My modern deck is supposed to run 4, and I'm poor. Side note, I really, really hope that we don't get Snapcasters, because I'm supposed to be buying 2 Forbidden. So I don't want those to drop.
Yeah,
I think Colonnade has a. I think that those set of Manlands have a pretty good chance.
Colonnade was reprinted by itself. I think there weren't any of the other Manlands from that
they're
run.
Not super expensive. Like I don't think Raging Ravine's that expensive or anything.
Like $30.
Yeah, but Colonnade's the most expensive, and it would make sense to print them as a cycle.
So it was Ravine, Creeping Tar Pit.
Oh yeah, Creeps is actually worth a decent too.
You're running into the
green white one does. She's playing one of the decks.
You run into the problem where if you do too many full cycles, you run out of card slots for other stuff because they are hitting all of their major releases over 25 years. That's not 25 sets.
Yeah,
that's like 125.
For the lands, though, I think printing them as a cycle is pretty important.
Well, I mean,
times 3.
So
you do this 75. Wow. All right, I feel dumb.
You could definitely you could definitely make a case. I think you can have 1, maybe 2 cycles on the lands. Maybe, but probably not. I think you can have 1 cycle on the lands, and then the rest would have to try and be like stuff that can stand on its own, and it would be kind of reminiscent of the Iconic one where they released the. It was technically a cycle that wasn't a cycle, right? Like it was the Time Spiral or whatever ones, where it's like Graven Cairns and Nimbus Maze and whatever, like those things. Horizon Canopy. And I think that they could probably do something similar, where they take like maybe the most in demand one from each one. Maybe we see Scalding Tarn. We see which one of the friends? Probably Flooded Strand is Polluted Delta.
Polluted
Delta is
Delta.
the most expensive friend, isn't it?
But was it Scalding Tarn? I think
Scalding Tarn's the most expensive.
Yeah. No. I know it's the most expensive. I'm just wondering if they would hit blue-red and then do blue-black or blue-white.
Oh, that's fair. Verdant wouldn't be a bad one for the enemy. Do Polluted and Verdant. Because Verdant's expensive, I know. Because I needed some, and I bought them, and screw that.
Oh, yeah, Verdant.
For punishing Maverick. And so I could see something like that, where they try and mix it up and do it Time Spiral style, and just they pick the ones that are in the most demand, right? Like, and if you do that one from each set, like there are only a couple sets that are just egregiously expensive. So if the goal is to have a set that is very incentivizing to buy after the flop of Iconic, but also not going to make retailers like curse the wizards.
I can't talk specific numbers, but preemptively my distributors are like, anyways, by the way, we'll give you a good deal. Please buy as many as you can. Because my guess is they're already locked into a certain amount from Wizards, and I know for a fact that Iconic made them skittish.
Yeah. So I think that they are probably going. That's another reason I think they're going to go high. Is they're probably going to err on the side of moving units. And a little bit less than they might normally be about what that does to the secondhand market.
Yeah.
Not so much that they like completely burn bridges or burn trust, but I definitely think that right now they need to move units, right? Yeah. Like they need to show that a master set can be a master set, like what everybody was hoping Iconic would be.
Yeah.
And they need to not spoil stuff too far ahead of time again, which they're already doing a good job of. They're keeping stuff close under the wing.
But it's not out
that
for
hurt
2 months,
Iconic quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like remember how hyped we were about Flusterstorm and Mana Drain when we learned about them? Remember how much we had forgotten about all that hype by the time it came out?
I kind of knew that was going to happen with Iconic because when they first talked about it, and that was the first off-cycle master set because they'd been doing them during like June, right? And this one was coming after a master set, just in the middle of like September, November, or something like that. It was like there was no way they had a lot of confidence in that.
It also had just really bad timing. Just released right before Unstable's release.
Anybody remember Expeditions?
Oh God.
Or no, Rival. No, it was Explorers of Ixalan.
Oh, that little board game thing they tried to release with Ixalan.
It's actually really fun, and it's got Path is in there. Like there's a lot of good cards in there.
See, I didn't even know that.
About it. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of good playable cards in it. It's at a decent price point. It came out the week after Iconic. That is the definition of bad timing.
What's
it was like
on it?
$40. And it had more than Path. It's got a couple other decent ones in
Shared
there.
Animosity, which is a pretty big card.
Because it comes with, like 4 decks, not including the rest of it.
Yeah. Shared Animosity was getting pretty high up there right after the newest Commander sets came out.
Yeah, and then and they reprinted it, and I had one person ask me about it.
Yeah.
Right, like nobody cared because then what came out the next week?
They really dropped the ball with releasing so many products like within a week apart.
Yeah, it didn't work out. And I think they learned that, and that's part of why we're seeing this with a solid month.
What other have they confirmed what other like specialty sets that they're releasing this year?
I haven't seen anything solid.
Like, I don't think we're getting another conspiracy this year.
No. I think they are doing another Masters type specialty set towards the end of the year. They're definitely doing another Commander set because they've started making those yearly. Yeah. Although no word on what that is. They're definitely doing FTV. We don't know what FTV is going to be, obviously, but they do those every year.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, they better fix whatever went wrong with their print process this year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll see.
One thing I am not like big on for Masters 25 is I'm honestly not big on the set symbol. Like, I know it's a small gripe, but like, I like my cards to aesthetically look pleasing.
No. I know a guy who straight up quit out of Magic when they changed the card borders.
Oh.
So it's not the smallest gripe I've heard.
Like I don't mind the new card borders. I just really don't like the set symbol when they like, especially the core sets every year where they just had the M and the number after it. I honestly think it looks really ugly. This one is literally just a Planeswalker logo with 25 in front of it.
It's pretty lazy.
Pretty lazy,
but I mean overall, like what else is gonna really capture? Like if you think about like Eternal Masters, it's an hourglass.
Yeah,
it's not, and it can't be an actual hourglass because they already used that.
Yeah, what I liked about that, it was actually a symbol. It wasn't just a letter and a number. It didn't look like a license plate.
But like my point is, they're not necessarily for the symbol. They're not going to throw their A team behind it because they've already used a bunch of different symbols, like Modern Masters. What is that supposed to be? What is that? It's some kind of like crown, I guess, maybe. The Commander sets. Don't even get me started on those. They're just shields.
Yeah.
Like, what does that have to do with Commander?
All the Commander set symbols have been pretty ugly.
But, it's ultimately the set symbol is not that big of a deal because it's there to help you organize your cards and not a lot else. Right? So
Yeah. Well, you know what's really hard to organize? Commander sets.
Oh, yeah. They are all very similar.
Oh, and you'll definitely accidentally have some shards of Alara in there somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
That's true.
I will... Some conflux, some shards, everything.
Now I gotta go check through the boxes at work.
Man, you weren't kidding about Path not being the only thing in Explorers of Ixalan. Like, Time Warp was in there?
Yeah.
Aggravated Assault?
Nobody asked. Yeah. Nobody cared about it because it came out in between two sets.
Hey, Mike.
Literally a week.
Hold one for me.
I'll see if I can order one, man. Like,
you're out?
Yeah, dude, we got 2 of them. I'm not gonna spend a bunch of money on a product that's gonna sit on my shelves for 3 months.
All right. Well, if you can get one,
I'm pretty sure I can. Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'll try and get a copy of that. I know Danger has it, and he's been itching to play it.
I've been wanting an Aggravated Assault for a while, and I was having trouble because it's just for Commander.
Going back to the common and uncommon reprints, there are actually quite a few common and uncommons that are reaching high up there. And I can see them working with the color fixing if you're trying to color... Because usually for these kind of sets, you'd want to experiment and go more than 2 color. I was thinking, how about they reprint Ash Barons?
Oh, yeah. That would be good. Because
Ash Barons is like almost
$10
$10. Yeah, it's like around $10 right now. For a common land that has common, basic land cycling. And if not,
$10, it's in a bunch of Commander decks, isn't it?
It was in one.
It's in one.
It was in one year of Commander decks.
Yeah. So if you buy any one of those Commander decks, that's awesome. Those are all 4 years, or no, not 4. Those are all 2 years old now.
One of them's like $80.
Yeah.
I mean, if not, then how about they're bringing back F&M promos. How about they put them in these select commons and uncommons, maybe for Pauper. Maybe not.
Boo.
but bring them back as F&M promos because, if you heard the news, they're getting rid of the tokens after...
which we called it, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're super... okay. We dish on Wizards a lot for people who love their game. We do actually like this game, by the way. Like, we enjoy the company who's putting it out. We're just... you know, we're those friends who are mean to them.
They just make some questionable decisions sometimes.
But their stated reasoning was, it struck me as very passive aggressive, because it was, well, you know, there's not necessarily any drops in the overall attendance of F&Ms. Maybe at your local store it's ebbed and flowed, and I'm like, you didn't need to say that though. You could have just been like, yeah, anyways, we're switching back. Like, you don't have to explain yourself to us, and if you're going to, don't be mean about it, man.
Even at CCS, I remember people, even like people not like us, but kids and casuals, when they would win the token, there was no like joy or anything out of winning the token. Half of them would just leave them on the counter. They would just take their packs and leave.
I've picked up tokens. I have had entire weeks where nobody has asked me for a token. They're not coming there for the tokens. They're coming there for F&M, which, I mean, okay, I guess that maybe that's the point, but like, even if it didn't hurt the F&Ms at all, it definitely didn't help.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, is like, so we all know, I feel like Ixalan and Rivals a little less over, but pretty much I feel like Ixalan has been a weak draft set, which until recently was what we had as an F&M option. You've recently added Modern, which came at a convenient time, because it was a time that I realized that if you attended 6 F&Ms, you got showdown packs. So I had kind of...
It is specifically drafts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then we're back to pointless. Darn. Yeah. Oh, well. Well, but regardless, like, it's a more compelling reason than the tokens. When I realized that was the case, because I had attended so many before, I had missed several F&Ms. First sick, but then like realizing that I don't like the set enough, I'd rather just play Commander.
There were a few Fridays where we just showed up and sat in the corner and played Commander instead of drafting.
Yeah, and that's very unusual for me. And again, the tokens weren't enough. The showdown packs were almost. The set was any more fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
As a store runner, like, I love you guys. I love having you in my store. But like, when I see the majority of people not doing the activity that I've set up, that you know, helps keep the lights on, I'm like, and I can't fault you for it. It's not like I can sit there and be like, why don't you want to play this set?
Just keep putting out singles.
I know, and I also know, Kyle, you're not a huge fan of Pauper. But
I actually don't care. I give it crap because I just don't feel like getting into yet another format.
I mean, I see this as an opportunity to reprint a lot of these cards that are Pauper essentials that are getting up to that price. Like, like Oubliette is a $20-$30 card. And that's a very important card. That's a very important piece in mono black control.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe that's still the cheapest format, and you should just suck it up.
Now, hold on. I have one question. It's very important. Kyle, how would you rate this segue?
I didn't even know what happened. 10 out of 10.
There we go.
Success.
All right. Kyle has given a perfect score, and I totally agree with him.
But even in the recent month, there's other cards that have been suffering buyouts, like Flag Bearer's been a hit. There's I forget the name of that card. It's like a mono red card, but it's like 1 mana, ping a creature for 1, and then draw a card, or ping a player for 1, draw a card, and that's getting up there too. Like, I mean, of course, it just hit like $5 today.
Good
for like such a simple card.
Buy in, invest in your decks, man.
I mean, I think this is going to be the thing that kind of strangles Pauper.
All it takes though is 1 master set, and like print some of those essentials, and it'll bomb the prices of all those staples.
We're gonna miss it on this master set, and I'm saying that simply because when they were developing this set, they had no way to know that the GP was gonna happen, and that Pauper was gonna be such a big thing at the GP.
Yeah.
So they were definitely not building with that in mind. And I feel like that's why we're not going to see any of those get reprinted as like F&M promos or anything, or as in the master set, is because there's no way they could have predicted the popularity Pauper was going to have. Yeah. And we're trying to get Pauper going at the store as well. I'm thinking about maybe dropping it on Wednesdays, because Fridays are already packed full for F&M, and then Saturdays we've got drafts in the morning. And whenever I schedule anything in the morning, I don't want to wake up either. Like, if my boss didn't make me be there at 10, I would probably open the store at noon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, you know, those are pretty light usually. And then We have Standard later in the day, so between those two, people want to play Standard, and so Pauper has kind of a hard point where it's not just a cheap format that may be strangled out by the sudden rise in card prices. It's also competing with a lot of other already established formats for time slots, especially at smaller local stores like CCS, although we are supporting the format.
I think the price issue is not that big of a deal, especially in the long run, because unlike other formats, which are pretty heavily focused on rares and mythics, Pauper cards, if you print them in the common slot in like a future master set, it will immediately just bomb all the prices of the cards. Like, they will tank.
That's a concern. Because right now, people are selling those cards.
It may not even do that, though, because we may have like what happened shortly after Tarmogoyf was released for the first Modern Master set, because its price beforehand was like $70-something.
Yeah.
And then the set was released, it dropped to $50 for about 2 weeks, and then it spiked to $115. Because more people wanted to get into the format now that the card was more readily available in boxes, which caused more demand for the card, which caused a higher price.
Tarmogoyf is sitting at 65 right now.
Yeah,
I said at the time.
Yeah.
So like
it's gone down. That's fine.
But the thing is, the reason a lot of these cards are expensive as they are, like Gorilla Shaman, is they only saw one print in a very old set.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's not even Gorilla Shaman. Like you can print Delver as an FNM promo, and I think people would like show up in droves. Like,
dude, that's
a card that sees play in multiple formats, not only Pauper.
I've never palmed an FNM promo, and I never will. But I would be so tempted with Delver.
Yeah.
If the art was good. If the art was crap, then you can.
So I do see these FNM promos as a way of, just putting reprints out there without reprinting them necessarily in a set. Also putting making the foil like a foil reprint of something, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think they are going back to foil promo cards.
Yeah.
That is a more favorable way to do it than I think printing them in a set, because like you said, if they print something in the common slot, the price tanks. If they release it as an FNM promo, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of FNM promos in the world. They print a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they don't print buying a box and getting like more than 2 play sets of them.
I would just prefer the FNM promos, unlike in the past, before we had the tokens, to be like a good chunk of them were just stone cold unplayable. Like Fortune's Favor was one.
Yeah.
We had I don't mind Fortune's Favor. You want to go for bad Reverse Engineer.
Oh god, yeah, that one is Reverse Engineer saw play in probably one standard deck.
No.
And that wasn't even wasn't that the draw 3?
Yeah, but
it saw playing Improvise.
When did Improvise see play?
Hey, I played a
Justin, you
very
play a lot
artifact
of things that didn't see play.
I played a very artifact heavy deck with 3 reverse engineers at the GP, and I did okay with it. So
confirmed, Justin is not a person.
But I would say reverse engineer is way better than Fortune's Favor. It's 2 mana, draw 3.
Yeah.
Wait, which one's? Am I thinking of the wrong card?
It's 3 colorless, 2 blue. It has Improvise, and it says draw 3 cards.
No, the Fortune's Favor one. I know what Reverse Engineer does.
Fortune's Favor is you look at the your opponent separates the top 5 cards of your library, 1 face down and one pile face down, 1 pile face up, and you choose one.
It's 4 cards, right?
Yeah, it's basically Fact or Fiction with one of the piles being hidden.
Okay, and it costs how much?
It's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
If it's okay, yeah. If it were 3,
it's not playable.
Okay. Well, I mean, neither is Reverse Engineer, though, for being honest. But
yeah, but it would be nice if they took a little effort.
Yeah, 4 mana, instant. Target opponent looks at the top 4 cards of your library, sets them in the face down pile and face up pile, Put one pile in your hand, the other in your graveyard.
Just a little effort to put out something like Avacyn's Pilgrim or like
Avacyn's
something where...
Pilgrim would be cool.
Avacyn's Pilgrim isn't going to see play in like Modern, but I would put that...
Like,
if I got one as an F&M promo, that would definitely go
like,
in a
up until now, they were restricting them to mostly just uncommons. It'd be cool if they go to the common slot and just explore a little there.
Well, I think they've been ignoring the common slot for pretty much the reason we talked about, where they're when they're already making unplayable stuff in uncommon, why make it in stuff that the players already have 8?
I mean, just looking at what we have in Standard right now, too, because we started the whole token thing in Ixalan. How about going back to Ixalan and, like, exploring some of those cards? Like, Freebooter would be a cool promo.
Yeah.
Oft would be a great promo.
Crafty Cut Purse.
Cut Purse.
That's a rare, so actually no.
Cut Purse,
it's
still, that's a rare.
It feels like an uncommon. That counts, right?
But yeah, I am glad that we are going back to that old, like, F&M promo style. I just hope that what we get is actually somewhat playable or somewhat usable, rather than just like, then why even bother even bringing them back?
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah. And I think that's actually about it for today. We've hit pretty much everything we wanted to, unless Kyle's deeply burning to unleash a tirade about...
Or Kyle just looks dead.
Yeah.
What?
He's just,
huh?
Yeah,
Kyle looks
Kyle
dead.
died. Kyle died for a minute there. Soul left the body.
Yeah. So that was our podcast. That was our episode of a lot of arguing between me and Kyle, and Mike interjecting once in a while to give his opinion.
I have valuable things to say and no way to segue into them.
But yeah, again, we are the cleanup step. And we all frequent a store in Sunnyvale, California called Comic Collector Shop. If you're ever in the area, stop by. Hit us up. I am Justin.
I'm Kyle.
And I am Mike, god of agreeing with other people.
So yeah, don't forget to discard your hand down to 7, and we'll see you next time.
Later, guys.